is going on with you guys? TheCaliEffect, king of games here. Today, we're going to be watching an insane matchup between Sky Strikers and Infernoids, as TJ is going to go ahead and start off by activating Card of Demise after setting 4 cards face down. One of the 3 cards that he just so happens to draw is a Foolish Burial Goods. Now, Foolish Burial Goods will allow him to send that Medical Fusion from his deck to the graveyard, then activating that Foolish Burial Goods, he'll be able to shuffle it back into his deck to draw a free card. This establishes quite a few things. He gets an additional spell card in his graveyard, and he basically gets to replace the spell card that he used, meaning that it is a pseudo upstart goblin. Getting a draw, he's actually going to top deck a very lucky Sky Striker Mobilize Engage, which will now allow him to add a Sky Striker card from his deck to his hand. His card of choice is going to be Sky Striker Mecha Widow Anchor, and with the limitations, players would probably think that the deck is dead. No, as you guys have heard, Sky Striker won YCS London, and this particular build is actually a carbon copy of what was being played. We really do enjoy this build, as TJ is restricted from special summoning, but it kind of does not matter. He'll normal summon that Sky Striker Ace Ray and then pass his turn. He can actually link summon on his opponent's turn, so that's just another way for Sky Strikers to bypass Card of Demise. The Infernoid build is very fun, and then at the same time, it's one of those decks where you just draw bricks and you cry. This time I'm going to open up with Pot of Extravagance. I'm going to be able to banish 6 of my cards from my extra deck. A lot of times when you activate Pot of Extravagance, you are hesitant on using it because you don't want to banish pivotal cards. Well, Infernoid, the only monster that you really don't want to banish is Infernoid Tierra. If there is another card, it's probably the Elder Entity Intis. And in this particular Pot of Extravagance banish, I don't think that I banished any cards that were too harmful to me. Now, I will be able to draw 2 additional cards, but Infernoids have been known to brick. And in this particular hand, I didn't draw exactly what I needed, so I'm going to go ahead and pass turn. TJ trying to take advantage of that, he's going to use Sky Striker Ace Ray's effect, and I'm actually going to counter it from my hand with a Psy-Frame Gear Gamma. Now, a quick ruling about Psy-Frame Gear Gamma is that it activates and resolves in the same place, just like any other Yu-Gi-Oh card. TJ thinks that he can loss win the card to protect his Sky Striker Ace Ray, but unfortunately, Psy-Frame Gear Gamma wouldn't even be on the field for him to negate, and it doesn't really matter because the card activated and resolved in his hand. Just a really good learning point or a good teaching lesson for the players that want to know where cards activate and resolve, even if they aren't in the same place that they activated and resolved. At the end of the turn, those cards are banished, and it is TJ's turn. He's going to follow with Sky Striker Airspace Area 0. Now, Area 0 can send a card from his field to the graveyard, which he's deciding to use to potentially get another Sky Striker card. That's actually what this deck is really good at. Still being able to get resources for free with your Airspace Area 0, and also being able to mitigate certain spell cards that aren't good for you. It can be a long grind game with Sky Strikers if they play their cards right. TJ is going to follow with another copy of Card of Demise. He's going to draw 3 additional cards for free. King Kunta, as I would like to say, to set an additional card face down and give up a Lost Win. Highlighting Lost Win, it's so awesome in the Demise build because not only does it negate critical monster effects, you can discard it with Demise and then set it back to your side of the field if your opponent special summons from the extra deck. Now this time around, I'm going to use a second copy of Pot of Extravagance. This is where things can get really tough because I've already lost 6 cards out of my extra deck. Losing an additional 6 would put you at 3 cards left in your extra deck, and the odds of you keeping 1 Infernoid Tierra, just, it normally doesn't happen. The second Pot of Extravagance is what kills you, and that's actually what does. In this particular situation, I banished the rest of my Infernoid Tierras, and you should already know, that's just not good for business. Not a lot of cards left inside of my extra deck, and already looking at a board that's just menacing on Sky Striker's side, I'm going to go ahead and activate Terraforming, and to really no avail, I can add Layer of Darkness from my deck to my hand. But TJ doesn't really have any monsters to tribute. Sometimes Layer of Darkness feels like a win war card, a card that just doesn't do anything for you. And then other times, Layer of Darkness can be the reason why you win, which is why it's just so iffy with me inside of Infernoid builds. Next, I'm going to go ahead and activate Void Banishment. Using its effect, I'm going to discard a card from my hand to the graveyard. That card just so happens to be a Void Imagination, which not only wouldn't help me in this particular situation, TJ doesn't control any monsters from the extra deck, and I don't have enough Infernoid monsters to make a Tiara. On top of that, I banished all of my Tiaras with the Pot of Extravagance card. So Void Banishment is going to have to do, it's going to allow me to add a Void Feast, and then I'm going to normal summon a Infernoid Decatron. Using Decatron's ability, I can send a Patrolia to the graveyard and hope to hit that Sky Striker Widowacre, because I don't want him to control the tempo. He actually is going to use the Widowacre smartly on the Infernoid Decatron. And the reason why I'd say it's smartly is because I won't be able to send an Infernoid monster to my graveyard. Now, TJ doesn't necessarily know which Infernoid card I'm going to use, so sometimes it's always better safe than sorry. I could have sent a Deviati, and then I could have manipulated Deviati to the field twice, or if I could have found a way to manipulate my Deviati to the field twice, he would have been in trouble. So setting a card face down and passing my turn on the standby phase, I'm going to use the effect of Void Feast. Void Feast allows me to send in, a Void card from my hand or field to the graveyard. And I'm not going to send the Void Banishment. I'm just going to go ahead. No, it looks like it's going to be chained with there can be only one. So it looks like it doesn't matter what I send. I can only control one Fiend monster on my side of the field. And as you guys know, Sky Strikers are, pretty decent at, not controlling monsters with the same type on their side of the field. So basically, my Void Feast will resolve with no effect. I'm passing it right back to TJ. TJ is using Sky Striker Maneuver Afterburner. He's going to get rid of the Infernoid Decatron, and yeah, this game is looking like a complete wash. TJ has this game in control as he's activating a third copy of Card of Demise. What is going on here, ladies and gentlemen? TJ is just abounding so many resources, and it's just a testament on how good this deck is. I gotta give a mad shout out to the young man that won with this build. It's brilliant. I never would have thought that Card of Demise would be the next step that Sky Strikers would take, because it's just insane. It's incredible. Using the effect of his Sky Striker Area 0, he's going to send Metalfield's Fusion to the graveyard, shuffling in that Metalfield's Fusion to gain another resource. And right now, Sky Strikers are basically playing that resource game, and it's working to their advantage. I just want to point out that it's kind of crazy how every deck that stays relevant for longer than a year or so winds up using Card of Demise. And I'm not talking about True Draco, but I could be talking about True Draco. Following up, it looks like TJ is going to use a Foolish Burial Goods to send the Metalfield's Fusion. He won't be able to use its effect again, but he will have it in the graveyard for next turn. And keep in mind, he does have to get rid of his entire hand at the end of his turn. So we know he has that Mecha Module's multi-role in his hand. He also has multiple spell cards in his graveyard that he'll be able to set back to his side of the field. And here's going to set a card face down, activate his Mecha Module's multi-role, discard an Area 0, and then pass his turn. Now, back to me. I'm not really... I think I can actually, make a play, but I can't make a play. I lied. I didn't have anything. I'm going to go ahead and pass my turn. TJ is out advantaging me, and it's not even funny. Using Metalfield's Fusion in his graveyard, he'll shuffle it back into his deck, draw an additional card. At least I thought I could do something. I was like, maybe there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. But as you guys can see, TJ hasn't even committed a monster, and he's just outright out-grinding me. I'm thinking in the back of my head that if at least he's not summoning a monster, then, I can actually make a play. But he's activated Card of Demise 3 times in a row. That's the only reason why he hasn't committed a monster. His multi-role will actually use its effect, getting rid of the Area 0. And now he can special summon Sky Striker Ace Ray to his side of the field. He can attack with the Ace Ray, deal 1500 damage, then turn it into a Sky Striker Ace Kagari, attack with the Kagari, do quite a bit of damage because he has quite a few spell cards in his graveyard. And yeah, he can keep on plowing from there. And he has another Sky Striker Mobilize Engage. We're going into game 2. I'm scooping. That game is insane. Sky Striker showing you what they can do for just out grinding you for free. If you allow this deck to snowball you, there's almost a point of no return where you're just never able to come back. TJ going first again. This Infernoid build, just looking at it, wants to go second. And TJ has opened another magnificent board. Getting his Area 0, he's going to use it on his Sky Striker Ace Ray. He's going to turn that into a Gagari. He has the Sky Striker Mobilize Engage in his graveyard, but unfortunately that Gagari is going to be met with an Infinite Impermanence. Going ahead, he's going to make that Gagari turn it into a Sky Striker Ace Shizuku, set 4 cards face down, and then gain the effect of his Sky Striker Ace Shizuku to add 1 Sky Striker card not in his graveyard from his deck to his hand. Now in this particular situation, we know he added the Mech Armory off of the effect of his A0. So adding the Sky Striker Mecha Module's multi-roll will allow him to send that Mech Armory to the graveyard to gain his Gagari back inside of his deck, and then be able to abuse multi-roll again. I don't think it's a bad idea. I'm going to start off my turn by normal summoning Infernoid Decatron, and it looks like TJ is going to shotgun that Sky Striker Mecha Widow Anchor to negate it. I'm going to follow with a Void Imagination, which will allow me to destroy TJ, but no, it looks like he has the Cosmic Cyclone. That's at the cost of 1,000 life points. He's going to be able to, no, it looks like I have another Void Imagination. Whoa, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to send 6 Infernoid monsters from our decks to the graveyard to be able to spell summon Infernoid Tiara to our side of the field. And if I can resolve that Tiara, TJ just might be in trouble. I'll be able to send cards like Elder Entity Intis from my deck to the graveyard, destroy the rest of his back row, and then proceed to fletch out my board however I so please. I can even use the 3rd Intis to destroy my own Tiara, which will allow me to special summon more Infernoid monsters to my side of the field and potentially go for game. One thing that I do like to talk about with this Infernoid deck is that it is not scared of Sky Striker Ace Ray in the graveyard. You can always just tribute a Sky Striker card from your graveyard to banish the Ray and then just keep on going. I'm going to special summon that Infernoid Tiara to my side of the field, activating its effect. I'd be able to send 3 cards from my extra deck, but TJ does have the response in Lost Wind. That is a little heartbreaking, but not really, as I actually have drawn a really good hand. I'm going to follow up with Monster Gate. I'm going to send Infernoid Tiara to the graveyard, and if you guys did not know, with that Void Feast or Void Imagination, I sent both Tiaras. We're basically sending cards from the top of our deck into the graveyard until we hit Psy-Frame Driver. That is crazy. Already having all 3 of my normal summons on my side of the field, I basically can freely send cards from my deck to the graveyard until I get that monster that I need. That's one of the brilliant ways that this Infernoid deck is played. I have to give that player his props too. I can't think of their names off the top of my head, but I will have them down below in the description. As well, we'll have links to the deck profiles too. I've just like put a DN link or, you know, dueling book link or whatever. But yeah, these decks are, I just really can't say it enough that they're perfect in almost every way. Not really much I would change. I'm going to go ahead and banish some more Infernoid monsters from my graveyard. Decatron is level 1, and my Psy-Frame Driver is level 6. So right now, I'm going to special summon that Jet, and then use this effect to banish the Ray. Now following up using my Driver and my Decatron for a Link summon. That's going to make just any Link 2. One thing that I do like about Infernoids is that Link monsters don't count towards your requirement. So you can't never pass 8 as long as you have an extra deck sending monsters to your graveyard to special summon your Infernoid cards. Or I'm sorry, sending monsters to your graveyard to special summon your Link monsters. Don't count against your rating. You can summon more Infernoid monsters to your side of the field. Banishing another Infernoid monster, I'm going to special summon Antra to bounce the Sky Striker Shizuku. And now looking back at this, I really didn't need to do this because I have a Tondo in my graveyard. A Tondo plus Boral Sword will be able to attack for game no matter what. I'm not even fearing his face down card because we know it's the Mech Armory. He had 5 cards in his hand. We're going to go ahead and link all of those monsters into a Boral Sword Dragon, and then we can summon any other Infernoid monster from our graveyard, and it looks like we'll have game into game 2. So yes, Infernoids being able to take the game back and even showing you guys how powerful the deck can be, it's scary good when going second. TJ's kind of forced to go first. He kind of doesn't want me to play Yu-Gi-Oh! So he wants to be able to establish a great board. And then at the same time, I want him to go first because that's just how Infernoids roll. TJ now activating Terraforming. He'll be able to search a area 0 from his deck to his hand. And before we get a little bit back into the game, I just wanted to ask you guys, how would you guys feel if we played more topping builds, more of the decks that have proven themselves to be tops, and then tell you guys how we feel about the strategy? Go ahead and let us know down below in the comment section. I'm excited to see what you guys have to say. TJ now activating Sky Striker Airspace Area 0, following up, excuse me, with a card of Demise, and on top of that being able to use a multi-roll. He's going to be able to get quite the bit of resources. A Foolish Burial Goods is going to find a Metalfoes Fusion to the graveyard, shuffle and get back into the deck. He'll also be able to draw an additional card. Now in this particular game, if he does get into a Mobilize Engage, he'll be able to get more resources from his deck to his hand, which can either be sent to the graveyard carelessly if they aren't good enough, but can also be good cards to help him set up and stymie my plays. So it looks like TJ doesn't find that, but he does find 2 cards face down in a Sky Striker Ace Ray, and then on my turn he can use the Ray for a Link Summon into Shizuku. I'm going to go ahead and start off by activating Pot of Extravagance. Will we get lucky? Because the last time we activated Pot of Extravagance, we didn't do too good. Pot of Extravagance will banish 6 cards from my deck, or extra deck, to allow me to draw 2 cards. Now, I know what you guys are thinking, TheCaliEffect. This commentary is a little bit different. Well, I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. It's just really fun to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh cards. But what else is really fun to talk about is, where'd you get this sexy mat from? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I get this sexy mat from Imperium Duelist. And if you guys want to see or want to purchase Imperium product, you can get 10% off by using the code CaliEffect10off. You can get it on anything, mats, sleeves, deck boxes, whatever they have. Use the code CaliEffect10off to get 10% off your entire purchase. So that Pot of Extravagance is going to net me a normal summon Infernoid Decatron. TJ does have a response. Is he going to respond? No, it looks like no, he doesn't have a response. I'm going to be able to use Decaboy's effect to send an Infernoid card from my deck to the graveyard. This time it's going to be Petrulia. Petrulia, or Decatron, does gain the effect of Petrulia. It is a level 5 Infernoid. On top of that, I can now destroy 1 random spell or trap card on my opponent's side of the field. So the idea of this is, if I do have any additional power plays in my hand, I want to normal summon Decatron to send Petrulia to possibly bait out some of those back row cards before I start going into the play. Excuse me. If I do hit the correct cards, then TJ could be in for it, as I may have some really good cards. It could also be because this is the only thing I have right now. So, like, any of those work. So yeah, it looks like we're going to use the once Petrulia's effect on now Decatron to destroy the middle card. And here is the first misplay I actually caught. TJ is going to use Sky Striker Shark Cannon, but he controls a monster in his main monster zone. This is actually going to continue throughout the duration of the game. A good thing, or a quick fix, would actually just be TJ using the Ace Raise effect to change itself into a Suzuku, which will allow him to get another Sky Striker card from his deck to his hand and allow him to use Shark Cannon. So it's not a huge mistake, it's just something we wanted to put you guys on notice. In this particular play, as you guys can see, I did open the monster gate, and I'm telling TJ right here, I opened an Infernoid Decatron, and I also opened that in Cyframe Gear Gamma. So it looks like we're going for gold. If I mill enough Infernoid cards, this is going to be game. And unfortunate for me, I milled 2 before I hit my Decatron. And I'm like, this is not the best thing, but at least we got 2 more Infernoid cards in the graveyard. Decatron on our side of the field will be able to trigger its effect, and now be able to send another Infernoid monster. This time it's going to be Petrulia number 2, to be able to destroy another spell or trap card on the opponent's side of the field. I don't necessarily want to destroy the multi-roll, because if my hand is correct, he won't see another turn. It will be game no matter what. And if it's incorrect, then, I mean, well, man, maybe I should have been going after that card. I'm going to target another one of TJ's face down cards, which is an unnamed card right now. It moved out of screen. And then we're going to go ahead and banish 3 Infernoid monsters to be able to special summon a Big Daddy Infernoid Deviati. Now Deviati is able to destroy all spell and trap cards on the field. Does TJ have a response, or is this going to go through? Immediately checking my graveyard, he is going to activate Called by the Grave, banishing my Infernoid Jet. No Deviati in the graveyard this time. He's going to also lose all of his cards. Now, that does come with a little bit of good behind it, as he'll be able to use the effect of his Area 0 to special summon another Ray for further defenses. But the next misplay is that he's actually going to use the effect of his Sky Striker Mecha Eagle booster, which allows him to protect his monster. But as you guys should already know, monster, he can't activate that card if he controls a monster in the main monster zone. So it should have been a protected Shizuku in this particular situation, but sometimes you just gotta let things slide, ladies and gentlemen, or some things you just don't catch. So now I'm actually able to activate the game-breaking Layer of Darkness. This card is amazing when you have an established board. I'm not 100% sure if this was already a good situation for, or it is already a good situation for me, but I don't know if this was a game-breaking, like I already won type situation. But TJ's actually going to use the effect of his Sky Striker Ace Ray, and here's where I have a slight misplay. He's going to use the Ace Ray to tribute itself to special summon the Sky Striker monster to his side of the field, but where I messed up is he's going to use the effect or summon a Sky Striker monster and try to attempt to use his effect. What I should have did is, since Layer of Darkness is on the field, I should have used Deviati's effect to negate the activation by tributing the other Sky Striker Ace Ray on his side of the field to negate Kagari's effect and banish it, which that would have been just game breaking. I am going to use the Deviati to negate the Ray and banish it, but I'm going to tribute the the Kagari herself, which is just like, that's such a little brain play, the TheCaliEffect. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and set a card face down and pass his turn. TJ not necessarily understanding the circumstances that he's under, he's going to go ahead and use his Kagari or his Ray for a Link Summon. This time he's going to Link Summon into his Sky Striker Ace Hayate, thinking that if he can send a, I don't know, to the graveyard, maybe he can get some damage, maybe he has some other cards. But now I'm explaining to him the weight of the situation, that as soon as he activates a monster effect, I'll tribute his own monster to negate his effect and banish it. TJ realizing this, realizes he doesn't have any outs for this turn, and I do have game. So this is pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys so much for watching another segment of the TheCaliEffect. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you guys want to see more videos of topping decks, then let us know down below in the comment section. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy. I hope you guys are having a great day like I am.